you come across a log sheet, let's say it's completely wet, completely mangled, and you can't write on it.
Or it's full of...
Or it's full of, then you can put your own little piece of paper in there in that little baggie, and it'll try to preserve it. So I would suggest carrying little, we have them at the house. I don't have any in our backpack now, but that's what I would consider.
That's one, most cachers don't care, like, we don't care if people put new log sheets in there. That's just a piece of paper, it helps us out.
But don't replace the full log unless if you know the person is not geocaching anymore or something like that. Right when you first start, I would not suggest you putting your own cache out just to say that you found it.
Trying to replace it.
Trying to replace it because the owner might get upset.
Yeah. But replacing the log sheet, they don't really frown on
that. Yeah, usually they don't frown on it. Now, let's go into difficult terrain. Okay, does everybody have the app of geocaching.com? Does anybody have it on there? Okay, can I see your phone?
Oh, I left it out.
Go get it. What we do is we have a difficulty and a terrain rating. Difficulty is from a 1-star to a 5-star. You can get a 1, a 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, all the way up to 5-star. A 5-star difficulty, you're talking about super, super hard. Or you're doing a whole lot of things. Like challenge caches out there, you can have a 5 difficulty, because one of the challenges out there is that you have to find a cache in every county in the state of Texas. That's 254 counties that you're looking at.
That's a 5?
That's a 5 difficulty.
Because to do it.
Because how many miles you put onto your car, and you go in and finding all that, they will consider it a 5 difficulty.
I think that would be like 10.
Well, you can only go up to 5. That's it.
Yeah,
I agree. I would put it at 10 if we had it. Terrain is also based on, from us being able to get to that cache, walking there, whatever. Usually most of the time you're going to come across a 1 terrain is where somebody in a wheelchair can go up to it, find it, log it, sign it, and put it back. That is a 1 terrain. 1.5 terrains is the most common out there. You walk up, it's a little walk, less than half a mile or whatever, you're going to have a 1.5 terrain. Now, if you're having to go up and down and through a creek and this and that, then you might put it to a 2 or 3. There are, on geocaching.com, they do give you suggestions on how to rate that stuff. We've had a 5 terrain where you're having to use a boat, you're having to use climbing gear, you're having to use a ladder, you're having to use something that's not normal that you carry around. Question?
I'm wondering if they could incorporate some kind of ranking system that the users who find it can go back and answer a survey saying how difficult it was, and then it would average it out over time.
Like a rating, yeah.
Like
Actually, I think there is another website out there. Terra something.
But see, even that's
Terracotta or Terraform?
It's a little more healthy than it's a piece of cake.
Yeah, but at least over time you get an average.
Yeah, then it's more...
Usually you will have some people that will complain that it was too difficult. If it's too difficult, then they'll say, you may want to up this rating at this time. Some people will write that in the logs. Most of the time I'm not going to complain one way or another because I'm happy with the rating that they give and hope that they're being taught. Now, if I see that they're brand new cachers, I might mention in there, you know what, this was a nice cache, but you may want to rethink this difficulty to it, because we came across one.
Oh.
We've got a new cacher out in Albany that they're putting out caches. It's the health people.
Yeah. We don't want to discourage them.
We don't want to discourage them, but they made it like a 4 difficulty, and it was probably about a 2.5 difficulty. Finding it. But to them, it was because they've only found 10 or 15 of them. So it just takes time. And sometimes you have to go back. And sometimes, if it's been out there a while, you just leave the rating alone. But I think there is another website where it's called Terra something. And you have to put out quality caches. It's not just go get a pill bottle, cover it up, and hide it under a rock, because you are rated by other members of how difficult it is and how original it is. And if too many people put negative stuff about it, they will take it off the website. Now, geocaching doesn't quite do that. Usually you would just go to the CO and send them a message saying you may want to change this rating up.
Do people ever play pranks with their caches, like have a face spider or face
Oh, yeah.
We had one,
Don't discourage the girls.
We've had some where you open it and the lid goes off and has a noise in there.
Uh-huh.
Ah!
or one that we put our hand in and it was a snake head.
Oh.
In the little plastic cover, you know, like the
Something
the
gory.
rated thing
Yeah.
that's, sorry,
Yeah.
that look was not for you, that was for that CO.
Yeah, we've already deemed her out. She's tapped out.
Yeah, no, keep it clean. It's all we ask, especially with the kids.
Oh, yeah, we've had
You're okay
people,
with it not being clean.
we've had people put logs in there cussing and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And we're
That's a
like,
little,
seriously,
that's not right.
we'll go back to them and say, you need to clean this up, or we'll delete it. Because as owners, you can delete people's logs. If you don't think that they found it, or if they didn't sign the piece of paper, you can delete their logs. Now, I highly recommend not to do that. I would go to that person first saying, hey, can you change this up a little bit, or whatever. But you do have the ultimate over your own cache.
Yeah.
Difficulty, some more. Most of these, I would have put this as a 1.5.
Depending on
This-
what it's in, too.
Yeah.
True.
Where it's at, the terrain.
1.5 to 2 as a difficulty. This one, I'd probably put at least a 2 or 2.5. Just because they're not as much known as much.
This one that comes apart is probably one of the hardest ones on there, I would say.
Or the Nano. Any with a Nano, I won't give them a 1.5. I'll at least give them a 2. Because you have these brand new people that come out there and they have no idea what they're looking for. And they will get very frustrated quickly. We had some there in Albany where they were getting pieces of bark, and they had Velcro with a little piece underneath this bark.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and we went out after it 3 times looking for it, and finally we figured out, we got over the learning curve, and figured out it was underneath a piece of bark, because it was underneath a mesquite piece of bark, and there was no mesquite tree within
There was
100
mesquite
feet.
trees, but they were too small.
But they were too small for that
piece
big
of bark,
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the only reason we finally picked out. Because when you're geocaching, the first thing, Jonathan, he'll look at, oh, I think it's right there, and he'll go after it a lot faster. If he can't find it within like 30 seconds, then I step back and I survey everything.
Look for
I'll
what's
look
out
where,
of place.
what's out of place,
What
where
doesn't
stir
belong here.
moved, all that stuff. Because that is your biggest clue.
Sometimes, yeah, there's what they call a geo trail. There'll be a trail right to the cache, and it's a dead giveaway. But when you're going after a new cache, it's not always that
Right.
easy. But
With the new cache, it's not always that easy.
Where these things doesn't belong kind of things, like Sesame Street.
yeah,
Yes.
pretty much.
And that's where the difficulty goes up, is if it really blends. We have one in Albany that we have it as a 4.5 difficulty.
And you can't
And,
tell.
and an average of people go at least twice, if not 3 times, before they find it. Because it's just that difficult. It blends, it goes straight with where it's at, because it's by a building, and it goes with it's in one of the parks there. It's called Will Hare.
It's bad enough when I go look for it. It takes me like
10 or 15 minutes. I mean, it takes us
it
a
took me
little
about 10 minutes. I found it. But
to look for it, because we know what we're looking for, but to find it because
and
it's so
about
well
as
blended.
big, but
Yeah. So,
Y'all are the owners of it?
Yeah.
yes, for the owners.
So it takes 10 minutes?
And it takes us a little bit to find it ourselves.
well, if it sit there for several months and nobody's touched it,
Yeah.
it starts to blend in more with the surroundings.
Even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever heard of someone coming in like with a 4 difficulty finding it automatically?
Yes. And yes.
That'd be
And here's what I will tell you. I will look at their thing and they'll have 3 finds, and I'm like, that's because they haven't learned how to.
They have that double lock.
They
where-
have the dumb luck. You'll get these, like, me and Jonathan, we'll go and say, okay, you want a difficult one? We'll throw you at this Will Hare one that we have there. And if they are brand new and they don't know how we do our style, and they look around, they will find it in about 5 minutes. It's just sometimes you get that dumb luck, you get that new beginners, and they'll find it, and then sometimes they completely overanalyze it. Most of the time, me and Jonathan, when we go after ones, we want the more 3 difficulties because of that.
Yeah.
Because we overthink them every time.
Yeah, because we've been to so many different experiences. You're like, oh, we probably did
How long
like
you got
that.
been doing this?
Since 2011.
November 2011. So, and we just did our 2100th find today. So, we like traveling.
Yeah.
Every other weekend, just about, we're going somewhere.
So how far have you gone? I'm sorry.
But we went all the way up to Idaho and Oregon.
Alaska.
And we went to
Hawaii
Alaska and
this year.
Hawaii. Alaska last year and Hawaii this year. And got
Not just for
cache.
geocache, we do vacation too, other things.
But we got like 15 of them there just while we were there. And there was even an event that we got to meet local cachers there in Hawaii.
Yeah,
It's
that
really
was
neat.
this April we went there.
Is there a map that shows where all you found, like a US or all over the world?
Yes. When you become a premium member, where you pay $30 a year, you can have stats on your page, and we have stats on our page. It shows every
Location where we've
every county, every state that we have found a cache in,
countries, we've been a few.
and countries also. So yes, you can find a stat page and have that. So
It breaks it down pretty cool. Like, and then they do milestones, like your first hide all the way up to like your every time now it's like every 1,000 one. Like we found our 2,000th, it'll put that as on our page, whichever one you found.
yes, they have their milestones, or if you're the first person to log a geocache, you have what we call first to finds, FTFs.
A brand new.
It's almost like
A
getting
brand new
badge.
cache.
Yeah.
As premium members, we get an email every time that there's a cache, like in our area. We have these notifications set up, and it'll send us an email when a new cache has come out, and we will try to be the first ones to sign the log, because trying to beat everybody in the local area is cool and neat,
Yeah, kind of a competition.
kind of competition thing.
So what's the time, the average time frame would be the first?
Here in Albany, we can go up to 2 days
What for?
a first find, depending on how difficult it is and what kind it is. If it's a regular traditional cache, I would say we've got about 15 minutes to get to where I'm serious before.
Someone
Like
else finds
the
it.
other day,
Yeah, we lived on the far side of town.
we live on the south side. The cache was on like Ambler North 10th
Sears
Street.
Park.
Sears Park. Anyway, one of the parks there on the north side. We got the email. We got in our car, got over there, found the cache, and when we were finding the cache, people were walking up from the north side. They were only like 5 or 6 blocks away, and we beat 3 different couples.